Here we go.
Okay, it started. Okay, there we go. So hello everybody. My name is Kara. Thank you very much for being here. I know it's dinner time for many people. We just felt like it's a very great timing because you guys just started new semester. It's definitely a time that you can start to think about your graduate school planning and also career planning. So before we get started, I have two QR codes here. If you want to stay informed, updated on graduate school application or career planning, feel free to take a screenshot and maybe join the newsletter or the WeChat group after the webinar, after today's session, so that you can keep updated news and newsletters on like different topics regarding career counseling and graduate school application. So let's get straight to the point. But before that, just a quick self-introduction. So my name is Kara. I am the Assistant Director for Post-College Programs here at INGENIUS Prep. So I myself have been an international student for many, many years. So I came to the US when I was in high school and then decided stay since then. I went to UC San Diego for my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, but I realized that this is not something I'm super into. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna switch my major. But I switched my major. I didn't switch my major in my undergrad. I decided to go on master's program in marketing, which I made the decision too late. That's the lesson learned from my own experience. So I definitely feel like if I figured my passion earlier in my college year, if I was a freshman and sophomore, I switched my major to like a business major and then decided to go on to like a marketing degree, I can get into like even better master's program. So that's also a lesson I think for many of you guys here. So definitely make sure that you know what you want to do, or you should assume what you want to do in order to get your foot into like a good job or a good master's program as your starting point. Because of my personal experience, I actually that's also one of the reasons that I decided that I want to step into the education industry. So after graduation, till this moment, I have been helping students with their post-college planning for almost 7 years. So my students have been accepted into almost all top 30 programs in graduate school, law school, and medical school. And also there are students who went forward into their careers and they have accepted offers from bulge bracket investment banking firms such as Barclays, Citi, JP Morgan, tech companies, consulting companies, etc. Let's get to our topic today. When we are thinking about applying to graduate school or look for a job, I think the first step is always making the decision. I have a quick question for everybody here. Do you know when is the latest time you could decide on whether to pursue a master's degree or a career? If anybody have an answer, feel free to type in the chat box. So I have four options here. The first one is summer before junior year. The second one is summer before senior year. C is freshman year, and D is senior year winter break. When do you think it's the latest time you can make that decision about going to graduate school or looking for a job? Okay, so if anybody wanna participate, I see B. Anybody else? If not, I'll jump to the next slide. Okay, I see two B's here. So yes, that's kind of apparent. So B is the answer. So the latest time you can decide on your track is the summer before senior year. Why is that? It's because most of the graduate school, they have deadlines in your senior year. So their deadline usually ranges between October and like January or February of your senior year. And in order to get prepared and submit all of the application for those deadlines, you definitely will need to make up your mind before that, which is a summer break. And for students who are looking for jobs, that's the same thing. So you guys probably know there's fall recruitment. For fall recruitment, they usually have deadlines also ranging as early as summer until like the December of your senior year. So in order to submit all those applications for your jobs, you definitely also will need to decide on your track before that. So that's the summer before the senior year. But that's the latest time. That's already said. So does that mean that's enough time? The obvious answer is no. So I actually made up two examples for everybody. The left column is for a student who is going to master's program. The right column is for a student who wants to get a career in investment banking. So let's take a look and see why like the summer before senior year isn't the correct time to make your decision. So first of all, let's definitely know about the deadline. So like I said, graduate school, they have deadline ranging between October and February of your senior year. So for many of the business program, especially marketing, general business management program, they kind of are implementing like a 3-round strategy. So a lot of the time, the first round of the deadline are in October. So that's extremely early. I mean, that's not the case for most of the other majors. If you're applying to engineering or applying to, I would say like humanities, JDs, your like deadline would not be like as early as October, but still pretty early. So in order to catch your October deadline, you need to get everything ready before that. That's your senior year, October, when you basically just start your senior year. In order to get ready for the deadline, what do you need? Let's take a look at the eligibility requirements. So first thing I listed here is the prior related education. So I mean, that's a good thing about marketing and business. They are pretty inclusive. They allow students to switch major. Like myself, I switched from engineering to marketing. And if you're majoring in anything, you basically can still apply to a business master degree. But if that's the case, you definitely need to have related internship, leadership experiences, or research background that's related to business. So for most of the other programs, you are actually advancing your undergrad degree. So for example, if you want to go to a computer science master's, it's very likely that they require a computer science undergrad degree. So that's the case that we can definitely, if you have any question regarding that, like your personal situation, we can definitely talk about that later. Um, but yes, how do we get the internship ready? How do we get the leadership ready? How do we get the research background ready? It's not like that in senior year, you suddenly say that, okay, I need this internship for my junior summer, and you can immediately get something. It's not like that. In order to get a very core task senior year internship, the company, they want to see something on your resume already. They want to see that you have been involved in a lot of different tasks that's related to the skill set they want to see in your freshman and sophomore year. So basically speaking, for to land like a junior year summer internship in business, which is like a good company or big company, you basically will need to find something business related in your freshman year. So a lot of our students are actually taking internships in some younger, like a lower diversity program. There are a lot of programs only targeting freshmen and sophomores. And there are students who go back to China or go back to their home country doing like a freshman internship. So all of these can actually make it possible for you to find something more serious in your junior year. And what about leadership? If you want to become like a president of a club, it's not like suddenly you say, okay, everybody elect me, everybody choose me, I want to be the president. It's definitely not the case. In order to actually become a leader, you will need to get involved in one student organization when you are a freshman or no later than sophomore year. So you definitely need to know what kind of club that you want to be joining in, because if you want to become like a marketing master student or you want to become like a computer science master student, the kind of club that you need are definitely very, very different. Also the same case for research. It takes time for you to build your relationship with professors. You need to make your professor like you. It's not like when you ask them, they always have something that they want to offer you. It's usually not the case, because we all know that that's also the case in UW. I know there are a lot of students in one class. So it's really difficult for you to really know a professor if you just attend the class. So basically, a lot of our students, they go to office hour, they try to write a lot of emails to professor to actually make the professor know them. So that's how they can get some research opportunity. And that all take time. So the lesson learned here is that you definitely will need to make your decision way earlier than the summer of your junior year. The other thing that I want to mention is GPA and GRE GMAT. So GPA is definitely always, always, always important. So that's like the threshold. That's like the main basic entry requirement, where programs don't really say it's the entry requirement, but it's there. So for most of the top master's program, they kind of actually require a 3.7 plus GPA. It doesn't mean that you cannot get into a good program with a GPA lower than that. It just means that many of your competitors who are applying to these top programs, they are having this sort of GPA or even higher. Because nowadays, I feel like students are really, really hardworking. So a lot of our students, they actually have like 3.9 something or 3.8 something GPA, and that's like way more common than when I went to undergrad. So if you feel like, okay, you don't fall into this category, your GPA is a bit lower than this, you definitely will need to make it higher, but at the same time, work on your extracurricular, work on your internship so that you can actually make up the weakness part by your strength. And also GRE and GMAT, that's also pretty important. So I know there are a lot of master's programs saying that the test is optional right now. You don't really have to submit your GRE. I mean, that is the case for some of the programs. So for example, there are some medical school master, public health programs. They say, okay, I'm not gonna be looking at your GRE, GMAT. But for most of the other programs, they do still look. When it says it's optional, but like when everybody else is taking it, it's basically not optional. You still need to take it and you need to get a good score. You don't have to get like a super high score like when you did for SAT, because SAT was so crucial for your college application. GRE isn't that important. You just need like an okay score. You don't have to always get like 330 plus, but I always tell my student that you need like an average, above average score to make the school understand that you are not like a terrible English speaking person or writer. So definitely work on your GRE, GMAT. A lot of our students are starting with that in their sophomore year. So I mean, all these come out to be like the lesson learned here. So you definitely will need to make up your mind on what you want to study in your master's program and decide on making your decision and work to it. Work on all of the experiences. In the right column, let's take a look. I know there are students who are thinking about going into a career. So there are so many career tracks in the United States or in China or internationally. So I'm just making investment banking as one example because it seems like to be a very, very popular track for many of the students. And it's actually doable for international students, but only if you start your preparation very, very early. So to be honest, most of the investment banking student candidate, they decide on the track in their freshman year, and that's very much needed. So in order to get a job in investment banking, so first of all, we need to know the deadline. The deadline for a full-time job in investment banking is usually spring before your senior year. So basically for investment banking, they are hiring 1.5 year prior to the actual start date. That's not the same case for every industry. So for most of the other industries, they hire 1 year prior to the start date for campus recruitment. But in investment banking, they are super, super early. They want to catch all these good candidates. So how do you get eligible for an investment banking full-time job? You will need to have prior involvement in freshman, sophomore programs at these bulge brackets or niche firm or middle market firms as an international student. So what does that mean? So it's so most of the company, they offer many kind of freshman and sophomore program. And if you don't have anything in your freshman and sophomore year, it basically means that you are kind of stuck. You probably, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get into a full-time job in your junior year. They will not probably look at your resume very, very seriously. And the second eligibility requirement is that you will need to have campus involvement. So for all kind of career in, for example, investment banking, consulting, they do care about campus involvement. They want to see that you are a good leader, you are a well-rounded person, you have the capability of making good connection, you can do a lot of networking. So these are important. So that's the same case as graduate school application. If you want to become like a leader in one club. So for example, for investment banking student, there are always finance club, investment banking club in school. I believe there are ones in UW. And these clubs are very, very competitive. They're like crazy, because they kind of implement the real interview strategy, like interview form to students, and they actually interview you. They test you on your behavioral question and they test you on your technical skill. In order to get into these club, you already need to put in a lot of time. So basically you will need to, so for many of our students, they're just freshmen and they have already started with interview preparation. They are learning all these behavioral behavioral questions with their counselor. They're doing technical interview preparation because as a freshman and sophomore, you probably don't really know, you probably don't really learn a lot of like finance courses anyway, because I know a lot of students are econ major, not finance major. So an econ major wouldn't really give you like equip you with all of the technical skill that you need for a finance job. So that's how competitive it is. So people have started to learn all about all these technical skills since their freshman year, and then also getting to these clubs, advancing into leadership position. And also maintain a 3.7 plus GPA. That is always important because when you look for a job, no matter what job it is, it can be an engineer, or you can be like a public policy person, or you can be an advocate, anything. If you have a 3.7 plus GPA, you can always write that into your resume. But if it's lower than that, we usually don't encourage students to write them in there. So like that's gonna be your competitive advantage. So the takeaway here is for investment banking, you need to claim the pass no later than freshman year. And for other industry, for example, I know there are students probably learning majoring in math or statistic or data science. If you want to go into data science or computer science industry, I would say the decision should be made no later than sophomore year, because for these tech company, they have like younger student program too. Like for Meta, for Google, they have all these freshman and sophomore year programs too. If you can actually get into these programs and do some internship, these will also very much like boost your application when you apply to a full-time job. Okay, so I have been speaking a lot about these two examples, but I just really, really want everybody to know that it's really important to make an early decision. So after knowing about the decision-making timeline, let's get a little bit deeper into what graduate schools are, what programs are there, and how do you like what application materials are really needed for graduate school. So first of all, I do want to show you a chart. So what are international students studying? The top four ones are business management, engineering, math, computer science, physics, and life sciences like bio, chemistry. So I guess it's probably what everybody here, like many people are studying these majors right now. And I'm not saying that like the ones out of these top four are not good, because if you really know that your passions, like for example, if you have a passion in social science, education, humanities, you know you want to do these, definitely do these. I definitely encourage students to follow your passion. But when you don't know what your passion is, I feel like that's the case for many students. Like when I was in college, I really don't know what I want to do in my lifetime. It's still like a question for me right now. I mean, that's very common. If you really don't know, I definitely think that referring to the popular programs can be helpful, because because that kind of reflects what are hot, what are like popular in job markets. By studying what, you can get a job in different fields. So definitely the top four are definitely still the areas that do give you a lot of job opportunities. But I'm not saying that anything else is not good. Follow your passion always. You know that because we have a lot of students, for example, doing art history, doing East Asian studies, doing JD, like Juris Doctor, and education, and they know that's the thing that they want to do for their life. I really think that make that decision early too. You can get into a very good program, which can still give you a lot of good opportunities when you are in the job market, or if you want to advance into PhD programs and work in academia. So since we talked about the popular programs, I do want to give you guys a list of popular types of programs, like in detail, because when we say business, there are different kind of business majors. So for example, first one is finance. So honestly, there are not a lot of pure finance master's program in the United States. That's because like most of the front office finance jobs, so for example, investment banking, sales and trading, these sort of US job, they don't really need master's student. They kind of usually recruit undergrad student like out of college to go into front office finance. So there are a lot more finance programs in Europe, in Hong Kong, Singapore. So they have a lot of business school. They really teach finance. But in the US, most of the finance related master's program are financial engineering and financial mathematics, which are more quant based. So if you have like a math major or you have an econ plus statistic major, that's definitely something you can think about. Business analytics, that's also a popular area, which give you opportunity to find a job in this particular industry, in this particular job function. Marketing communication management, that's also popular, but it's definitely not very easy for a marketing graduate to find a job in the United States if you're thinking about staying here as an international student. But I would say there are a lot of good programs. And if you're thinking about like working internationally, for example, going back to China, there are a lot of like top ranked QS programs in marketing communication management area. So for STEM, computer science is still the hottest area that many students are working into, especially for these 2 years. I would say it's going to be very, very competitive. So if you are a sophomore or junior, if you're applying this coming up cycle, it's going to be very competitive. Why is it? Because the job market is kind of disaster. So it's really difficult for people to find a job. So most of the students who are really, really good at coding, previously they probably can know that they can find a job, but this year they are not very sure about that. So they might go on to master's programs. So these person will be your competitors. Data science, data analytics, this is kind of like similar to business analytics, but for data science, it's more in depth. So they learn about machine learning, artificial intelligence, etc. And engineering in different fields. So like what I study, electrical engineering, material science, or mechanical engineering, all these are still pretty popular if you're actually majoring in these in your undergrad. Statistic, these are also pretty, I would say statistic give you a lot of different options. So this is also a program that you could consider if you are currently majoring in math or statistic on your undergrad. Public health, it's also a popular area. So for life science student, if you don't want to go into research, academia, you want to do more application-based stuff, public health could be an option there. Medical school related. So we do have a lot of students and also international students applying to MD, DO, dental school. I mean, this is a decision that needs to be made extremely early. So definitely in freshman year, you will need to make your decision as an international student. You want to become a doctor in the United States because that's really, really difficult. And for non-STEM, there are popular programs. I mean, these are based on our student population. So a lot of our students, they're applying to JD. That's an area that we are particularly good at. We have a lot of T14, T6 results. JD is also an area as a non-STEM student, you still, if you get into a T14 school, you still have a lot of good job opportunity. Education, if you want to be a teacher or if you want to do education policy, education technology, this is also a good area. MPP, MPA, public policy, public administration, if you want to work in NGO, World Bank, so things like that, this is also an option. Art history, East Asian studies for our history student or art history student. So this is also a pretty good area. Like you can, but of course, like after this, you work in either museum or you work you work into academia. But I would say for most of the art history or history student, that's probably going to be the area that you are interested in anyway. Okay. So I see a question here. I'll get to the question later. So let's talk about graduate school in a little bit more detail. So why graduate school? Like, how do you make the decision? You definitely need to know that you're interested in this field. So graduate school is not like undergrad. Like undergrad is like you don't know anything about any field. You're just picking one as your goal and you feel like you like about it. But for graduate school, for most of the program, they want to see that you are furthering your study. So you are really showing interest and passion. So what kind of passion, what kind of interest is that? It can be that you want to conduct further research in the subject matter. It can be that you really need this master to become like job eligible, like you can actually find a job in this field. So for example, there are like quantitative finance, like I just mentioned, financial engineering is kind of like a required entry degree that you will need to get into quantitative finance. PhD. So if you want to become, if you want to work in academia, you want to become a professor, or if you want to become like a PI or work at the lab or something, that's also a reason that you want to go to graduate school. And also for graduate school, it's very important that you know your short-term and long-term career plan, because that's something that they are going to be asking you in your application essay. You need to know, or you need to assume that you need to know that what you want to do in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or 20 years. You need to be able to envision that. Generally speaking, what are graduate schools looking for? So first of all, they're looking for students with a dedicated academic interest. So that's what I just said. You need to make sure that they know that you are furthering your study, furthering your interest by completing the degree. Second, you need to have a solid academic and professional backgrounds in respective fields. That's what we have been talking about, the internship, researches, also like leadership opportunity, also like teaching assistant. All these should be in the respective field. So if you are applying to engineering, all of your internships should be engineering related. The third thing is contributors and problem solver in their fields. In your application essay, it's very likely that you want to raise something like you need to tell the mission officer that why you are learning this, why you're getting this degree. Not only just for you to get a job, you need to let them know that you want to solve a problem in this particular field. And that's why you want to do this program. And the number 4 is individuals with clear vision for themselves in short and long-term future. So you don't have to know for your lifetime, because that's, believe me, like nobody really knows. So, but you need to at least assume that you have a clear vision for 5 years and 10 years. You need to have something in mind, and give some like optimistic envision, and let the mission officer know that you are really doing something with this particular degree. So how are applications processed? So first of all, you submit your application. Each school have their own system. So that's different from undergrad, because undergrad, every school, they're using Common App, they're using UC App. But for graduate school, each school has their own application system. So basically, you will need to fill out the information for maybe 10 times. At top school, your application goes through a pre-screening process. So they will screen through your basic information like your resume, your GRE, your GPA. If you have like a 2.5 GPA and you're applying to Harvard, you're definitely getting selected out. So that's the first step, like cruel, but the first step. The third step is that the applications are separated. Each admission officer gets a pile of applications, and each application goes to 2 to 3 readers. So these admission officer reviews all of the application in their pile, evaluates application in online system, and they will select a handful of what she wants to accept. And then admission committee member will meet to decide who is accepted and who is rejected. So it's kind of like a multi-perspective judgment. Like different people will take a look at your admission profile, and what you need to do is that you need to make sure everybody thinks your materials are good and you have really good backgrounds. That's the entry part. But the next step is that your essay are impressive. So that's the next level of how you get admitted into good programs. So because of time constraint, we're not going to be able to get into very detail of application components, because like each bullet points here, I can talk about them for like 1 hour. So for today, I'm just going to walk you through what are needed. So first of all, program list. I do encourage most students to apply to 10 programs for your graduate school application. Maybe do 2 safety, like 3 target, 5 reach. That's how we plan for our student, because you want to make sure you have a safe program that will accept you anyway, but you will also need to make sure that you have enough reach programs for you. So the second is academic transcript. You will need to submit your unofficial transcript during the application time, and then submit the official one after you receive the official one, like after you get admitted into schools. The third one is diploma, graduation certificate. If you're a current still like a student, you don't need to submit this, only after you graduate. And number 4 is online application. So you definitely will need to fill out these applications. Number 5 is SOP, statement of purpose. So that's the most important part that you will need to be able to get ready for. So all of the experiences that you do during your I would say during your freshman, sophomore, junior year are all getting you ready for your SOP and your resume. You want to make sure that you can talk about like all of your experiences very efficiently, like deliver your message correctly. And also for resume, you want to make sure that your resume is not half page long. It's definitely 1 page. It's filled out and it has like very valuable information. It's not like you're talking cliche or something. You will need to make sure like every bullet has its meaning. I mean, these are things like we definitely help students with. So if you want to talk about it in more detail later or one-on-one, definitely feel free to reach back out to us. So that would be great. Letters of recommendations. So usually for graduate school, you will need to submit 3 letter of recommendation, 2 academic references, and 1 is internship supervisor reference. That can change based on the program, but that's the usual rule. And in order to get those, you will need to work on the relationship starting freshman and sophomore year, because you want to make sure you have a pile of professor you can reach out to when you are a senior. If you only have 1 to 2% that you can reach out to, and if they say no, like what else you're going to be doing. So definitely make sure that you work on the relationship earlier. Standardized testing, you will need to submit your score and ask the test prep agency to deliver the score. Interview, video interview. Not all of the program have the interview, but if they have the interview, you definitely will need to ace in it. You need to be able to answer all of the behavioral question and tell them why you want to go to this program. Writing sample, that applies to most humanities program and PhD programs. So they will ask you for a writing sample. Financial document. So for international student, we usually cannot get financial aid. So you definitely need to make sure that you guys like the school will need to know that you can your family can support your learning journey. But that's not something that they require immediately. Usually after you get the offer and you're preparing for a visa interview. And last, application fee. So usually it's $70 to like $100. That's the usual range. So the takeaway here is that if you don't make an impression on the admission officers assigned to your file, they will not advocate for you. As a result, you will not be admitted. So work on all of your extracurricular, work on your internship, work on the professor relationship building, and then in your application season, work on your application material. So there are a lot that you need to work on. Break the goal into like different pieces. So I'll skip this one because we kind of covered this. And that's what I want to talk about for the graduate school portion. And I see there's another question in the chat box. People are sending private message, I guess. Also, I will answer. I'll get back to these after the next part. So I do want to cover a little bit about the job search planning too, in case there are students who want to look for a job, not going to graduate school after graduation. So the job search is also a big topic. I mean, there are different, they're like very, very different for different industry. So that's why my first strategy, my first tip here is that always know your timeline. If you're applying to consulting job, if you're applying to engineering, if you're applying to business analytics, all these jobs, they have a different timeline. So if you miss that deadline, you're just screwed. You cannot just tell them, oh, I missed your deadline, and can you still accept my resume? So always know your timeline. It's very, very important. If you don't know, always email me. I can help you with that. I can definitely let you know what is needed for your timeline for your particular industry. So several tips on how on another several strategy looking for jobs in internship. The first thing that is I think it's very, very important to utilize different job posting platforms, especially school resources. I would say school resources are definitely the most helpful because companies do send out school targeted recruiting information. I believe Circle has a lot of good information to the students too. Always follow the platform and also use Handshake. I'm not sure whether UW is using Handshake, but that's what most colleges are using. Handshake is basically a school-based.
Handshake.
Great. Yeah, so definitely use Handshake. Make your profile now. Like if you are a freshman, still make your profile and start looking into different job and trying to apply to some. So there are a lot of good position opening every day on Handshake. You will just need to give yourself like a goal and a task. For example, 5 minutes a day looking into Handshake. And career center and career fair, that's something I always encourage students to attend, even if you are a freshman or sophomore. Even if you don't get recruited or there are not many positions for you, you still get a sense of what the vibe is, and you get to talk to a recruiting manager and introducing yourself. Alumni association, definitely follow these alumni association and reach out to your fellow alumni, and maybe they have referral for you. So recruiting platform, LinkedIn, Indeed, Google Jobs, definitely use these two, but I always rank them number 2 channel because Handshake is the number 1. Number 3 is personal contacts, referral. Getting referral is very, very important, especially for business jobs. If you're going into business area, you will need to spend a lot of time getting a referral. If you're going to software engineering, it's very likely that you reach out to people you know, or you reach out to UW alumni and they say, okay, I'm willing to give you a referral. So get that referral, that's very important. And follow social media platform like us. So INGENIUS Prep, career counseling, WeChat platform, we do have a lot of job positioning, open information, newsletter for everybody. So set a goal for each day is the takeaway from all these bullet points. For example, you can tell yourself to look for 5 positions on Handshake every day, or reach out to 5 people on LinkedIn. And also, especially for business students, because of time, I think I'm going a bit over time. So I'm not gonna go into this too much. But if you are looking to this business job, investment banking, consulting, set an ongoing networking goal for each day, because there is a funnel here. So for example, if you reach out to 1,000 people, maybe in the end, you only get to talk to 10 people, like only 10 people agree to have a coffee chat with you. And you will need to spend a lot of time building your LinkedIn profile, reaching out to people, and working on that coffee chat to successfully grant you like a referral in the end. So set an ongoing networking goal for each day for business students. Not that important for computer science or engineering student. Not that much like that important, but so important if you can do that. And always update your resume. A resume is always important. Like even if you are a freshman right now, you can still put in your high school experiences in there. Make sure your resume has clarity, consistency, relevance. All of the job skills are relevant to the job that you are applying to. Error free. Don't put like spelling errors, grammatical errors. These are like disaster. The HR would definitely pass you. And highlights. So for example, if you see some keyword from the job description, put these keywords in the resume so that a lot of companies are using like artificial intelligence to do the first round. And if you have all those highlights and keywords, you can probably get scanned and they know that you have that job skill. And always get familiar with interview process. There are usually HR screening call, online assessment, technical interview, case interview for consulting industry, and always get familiar with commonly asked behavioral questions and find someone to practice with you for your mock interview. Gonna skip this one. And last but not the least, I'm just showing a sample recruiting timeline for several big industry like people are interested in. So for example, if you're looking for a job, summer internship this summer, you probably already passed all of the deadlines, but worth knowing for next year. So investment banking, they start very, very early. Management consulting, usually they start in June. That's when McKinsey, Bain, BCG, they open their application system. Accounting is kind of long. It's not that standardized. They kind of usually open in January too. And tech. So for tech, it's a bit later. So right now there are still software engineering or PM internship, data engineering, data analytics internships still opening. You can still catch some deadline, you can still apply to some. But if you want to be early, you will need to, for next year, you will need to start to submit your application in summer, for example, August. So we're definitely here to help you out throughout the process. If you want to learn about this, your particular industry, we can talk on more like one-on-one basis. And lastly, just a little bit information from my end. I think then we'll talk about UW resources. So CPT is something that you definitely need to know because you will need CPT to be able to intern. So what is CPT? So basically CPT is a I would say it's given by student schools international office. CPT doesn't really go through USCIS, which is the US immigration office. Basically, you will need to, like, after you receive an offer from one internship position, one company, you will need to submit this request to your school to get your CPT approved. And in order to qualify for CPT, you must be an F1 student and have completed one full academic year of study. So that will make it a bit difficult for many freshmen because by the time you are in summer, you probably have not completed one full academic year of study. But that's, I guess, like different schools have different policies, but definitely read through your school's policy. So who can apply? All international students on F1 visa should definitely apply. And you will need to, like, your school's DSO authorizes your CPT. You will need your I-20 to apply for it. And CPT occurs during your study program, which means before you graduate. So then we'll give a little bit more information on UW specific policy here.
Let me do that. So sorry, I just sent a lot of links that over there as Kara was talking. So UW does use UW Handshake, and there's also the InterStride. I would talk about that a little bit when we talk about OPT. But let me focus on CPT. So I didn't go into too much detail, but there's a link here that if you Google search UW ISS CPT, that has everything you need to know. They have the timeline and everything. So, but let me summarize everything you need to know about CPT. So CPT is a process that is, of course, offered by the U.S. Government to allow us to work while you are, it's basically allow you to work off campus while you are still a student. There are some exceptions, but this is the major thing what CPT is all about. So to be able to get CPT, essentially you need to get an off-campus job offer, or this does not have to be a paid job, it could be a volunteer. And on the other hand, if you're just doing volunteer and this is off-campus, you need to be careful. Some of the students are thinking that, I'm just volunteering, so I don't need a CPT. So we can get yourself into trouble. So we have seen students who, their I-20 got terminated because of the valid CPT process. So always to protect with the ISS. So first one, to apply for CPT, you do need to have an offer to start with. So can't just be, let me get CPT and then let's apply for a job. That doesn't work. And then you will need to apply for the internship course or credits at UW. This is very UW specific, okay? So if you're already in the major, usually the major departments, the departments of the schools would offer what we call the internship course. Again, different departments have different policy. I'll give an example in a bit, but you have to register for this internship class. But if you're not in a major yet, so students ask me, if I'm not in a major yet, can I work off campus? The answer is yes. But if you're not in a major yet, then you have to take this general studies 350 internship class. Later on, if you sign up for that form, we will give you all of the slides and you'll be able to click on everything. So all of this has links. Because of time today, I'm not going to click on the links, but it's general study 350. That's an internship class for students who are not in a major, or for the schools or departments who does not offer an internship class. But then if you, hold on, I have to kill my, sorry, WeChat because I can't do it right now. Anyhow, so with the job offer, in one hand, as well as the registration of this internship class, once you have both of these, then you can go ahead and go to the My ISSS portal to submit your CPT request. And then you're gonna have a lot of questions, right? Timing wise, how long does it take for us to process the CPT? When is the earliest time I can apply for CPT? I already got a job, when should I set up the start and end date time for my CPT? All of these questions, we're not gonna go through this today. You just had to go through the UW ISS CPT website. They have everything. They also have a video. You're gonna have to read everything very carefully. There's also have a Q&A section, also frequently asked questions, okay? Overall, if you have any questions, always ask us in the group chats, the RCG group chats. But there's one thing I need to remind you to keep your status, in a good place. So, Kara, can you click it one more time? Just not the link, but just click. I think there's one more sentence after this.
Yeah.
So basically, you cannot start the work off campus before your CPT is approved. So if you do that, you're validating the process, and ISS really care a lot about this. It can get yourself into trouble. So that's all we say. Yeah, that's the CPT part. Carrie, you want to continue? And I can do the OPT later.
Are you skipping the example here?
So this is an example of the CBT for economics major. So if you look at their example, right, step one, you need to get the intern offer. But then for you to register for that Econ 399, this is the Econ major internship class. For you to get into that, register for that class, you need to go through another 3 steps. Okay, so I just basically did a screenshot from all you need to do, UW economics internship class, and they will show you all this what they need. So well, I'm saying that econ major have a slightly different process than psychology, have different process than engineering. So you're gonna have to, if you're coming from econ major, you have to look at their process and how to get into this intern class. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's just an example. Yeah.
Okay, so for OPT, just a quick overview from my side. So basically, OPT is something that you will need to get after graduation if you want to work in the United States. And usually, most of the F1 student, you get 12 months of OPT like at each education level. So basically, after you graduate from undergrad, you have 12 months. If we're not talking about the extension yet, if you are majoring, for example, in social science or history, it's very likely that you get 12 months of OPT. But then if you are, for example, a STEM student, math student, statistics student, you are very likely to be able to get 2 more years of extension. That's called STEM extension. But it's not like not like the 3 years are automatically given to you. So basically, you will need to get a job first. There is a grace period for you to find a job by before your OPT expires. It's not like you can stay in the United States for 12 months without finding a job. So I myself am not like a lawyer or attorney here, but just sharing from my personal experience, that's what I know. Usually you have a grace period. I think it's 60 or 90 days, 90 days. Not sure then.
90 days.
90 days, yeah. So you
I
will
think
have
it's
90
90
days to
days.
find a
Yes.
job. Yeah, so you will need to actually apply for the OPT before you graduate based on the process, based on the speed of US government. So it can take quite some time. Usually, I think from my end, I applied for OPT like 2 months prior to my graduation. And it's also like a strategic decision that you need to think about like what you want to put onto the form as your start date, because you need to calculate how are you going to be maximizing the time that on your OPT. This is like a huge topic that I can definitely give some personal advice later on, but I think Dan has more to share here about UW policies.
Thank you, Kara. So compared to CBT, right? Remember CBT, you have to have a job offer first. Somebody was going to offer you a job, and then you apply for CBT. For OPT, this is a benefit for you as somebody who finished your master's or finished your bachelor's. Remember what Kara said, each level, you have 1 level of CBT. So this is how a lot of our students do, because it's a benefit. They wanted to extend their time in the US to figure it out, whether they can stay in the US or not. But doing that, they'll keep extending their time. So for example, students will come over here for 4 years undergraduate students, and then they do 1 year CPT, 1 year OPT, right? And then because they're a STEM major, they extended 2 more years. So 4 years undergrad, 3 years of working here under OPT, and then they apply for a grad school, 2 years. And then because after graduate school, you get another 3 years of OPT if that's a STEM major as well. So total by that point, there would be in the US 4 plus 2 plus 3, 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3. So you already here somewhere about 11 years. So one way or the other, you're going to probably figure out a way if you want to stay in the US. So there are different ways to do this. Again, we're not saying everybody wants to stay in the US. I'm just saying there is a way to make things work. So step number 1, you do not need a job offer to apply for OPT. It is a part of the benefits that is, provided to you, after you get a degree in the US. You're going to apply as early as 90 days before your graduation date, before you graduate, and as late as 40 days. After that, you lose that eligibility, you lose that benefits. To apply, you will need to get ISS approval. This is from UW with an OPT I-20 first. So again, of course, you can do this on our My IWS portal. And then with their approval, you get all this, and then you submit it to the USCIS, the US government. Submit the I-765 form to get approval. And then along at the same time, they will give you an EAD, a work card. You will need to pay this much to ISS. You have also pay $410 to USCIS. It usually takes about ISS 3 weeks to process the OPT I-20, and then it should take USCIS for about 90 to 150 days to process the OPT application. This year, I believe they started to use online applications, so it might improve the time for processing, but we don't know. We're just watching. And then also, once the EAD card is approved by USCIS from that day on, you have 90 days to find a job. So that's what we call the unemployment date or period. And after that, if you have a job, you do have to leave. So once you get a job, you have to update the ISS to say, hey, I got a job. So they put that job, the employer information onto a new I-20. So you have got a new I-20 with your job updated on there. So anything you need to know about OPT, I have to clarify. Circle is not ISS. So anything that we said is based on their website. We don't have the final say about any OPT related stuff. So if you want to have a confirmed answer, or if your OPT, like today, I had a student who was asking about, my OPT has this very intricate situation. I'm like, I really don't want to give you the wrong answer. If you want to have a confirmed answer, you have to go to ISS dropping advice and to double check with them. So if you search UW ISS, sorry, OPT, change that, then you'll be able to see everything in that one link. And one more thing I wanted to say, at UW, we do our UW Career and Internship Center does put so much effort to support international students for their job hunting, for the career support. So I sent this link in the chat, but I'm going to click actually on this to take you to that website. Can you click it for me?
Yes.
Let me switch it to that link. So this is a channel just for international students. For if you sign up on this, it will show all of the all of the resources. Like, for example, they have like a workshop on how to put a resume together for international students. So here it tells you, so you have to sign in for this. So it tells you what International Student Office does. You also have student legal services. If you click on that second tab on the left, it says student legal services. Can you see that, Tara? So top left. Yeah, student legal services. Yeah. If you click on student legal services, the student legal services, like any questions ISS says, I can't answer you for this for you. This is a free for you. They will be able to provide you immigration related legal advice. So these are lawyers basically to support our students. Okay. We can't give you any legal advice, but that office can. Okay. Let's go back to the link to the left one.
1 moment.
Yeah, the previous one.
All right, I'm stuck in my PowerPoint.
Sorry about that. So I have 1, 2, yeah, let's go.
1 moment. I found it.
And on that website, okay, so I think it's, yeah, the number 3. Yeah, and then you have the career coaching, all of the resources available here. And if we scroll down, right, this is what ISS is putting together. So the Career and Internship Center tell you what is really important to build a community. There's also a lot of seeking, the job seeking, particularly tips for international students. But one of the most important thing I would like to introduce, if we scroll down a little bit more, so all of these resources listed here is available for you for free, okay? If you go down one more, here, right there, InterStrike. So this is a platform that University of Washington has paid for international students to get free login for this platform. It has basically, remember that Kara was talking about H-1B sponsorship? H-1B is essentially a visa that you can get right after you get a job, and then they sponsor you for H-1B, but it's a lottery system, right? But not every company sponsors H-1B. Sometimes it gets really tricky, right? I go apply for a job, but usually when I apply for a job, you don't want to ask them, right away to say, do you guys sponsor H-1B, right? You kind of want to get the job first and to talk about. But you also don't want to get a job and later on find out it actually don't sponsor, H-1B. So, there's no chance for me to stay because of this job. So all the jobs that's posted on this website, InterStrike, actually will let you know whether this sponsors H-1B or not. So this is filtered already for you. And also on this platform, also, hold on, let me finish my thoughts. They also offer a lot of tips and interview tips and also different companies. So there's a lot of training sessions over here you can get help with. Okay.
Mommy.
Kara, I think I'm done with my part. And I also put the
Okay.
interest stride for UW. That link is all in the chats. Take those links, and then I'll let Kara take over.
Yeah, I think these are really, really helpful resources. Definitely learn about H1B because that's gonna be if you don't know about it, you're gonna be having a lot of headache after you start work. So learn that as early as possible. That will really maximize your chances of staying in the United States if you're thinking about this. So I think we're almost done. We're just so for the H1B new rules, we're not gonna go in detail about these. Again, I'm not here to provide legal advice, but definitely screenshot this if you're interested in learning about H1B. These are kind of summarized from the official platform from US government. There are definitely new rules every day. I mean not every day, every year. So you will need to follow these rules if you are thinking about getting an H1B visa in the future. So I would say just very, very quick introduction because I've been talking here all the time. I just really want everybody to know that who I am and what company I'm working at and what we do. Just a very, very quick general introduction. So basically, INGENIUS Prep, we are a college consulting, education consulting company who provide educational consulting help, career coaching, and also graduate school application help to students. So our students are basically everywhere in different states, different university in the United States. What we do is that we really think it's very important to pair the student with a counselor who really knows your industry. So for example, if you're looking for a software engineering job, you're going to be working with a counselor who, for example, work at Google, work at Amazon. And if you are actually looking into applying to graduate school, we are going to be pairing you with a graduate coach who has similar backgrounds so that they can really help you out with planning your college years, like what you should be doing each year, what kind of experiences that you should be obtaining each year. And this is the goal that we want to do. So basically for 2023, we got 201 top 30 offers, actually 80% reached school rate. We didn't update this. And we have 30 plus students who got into targeted industry and companies, including Goldman Sachs, BLA, CD, HRT, Amazon, EY, etc. So this is just the overview that I want to give. And if anybody who wanna talk more in detail with me one-on-one, feel free to email me or probably don't call us because it's gonna be taking a little bit while to get to me or get to a person. Feel free to email me or at my WeChat if you use WeChat. Maybe screenshot it if you don't want to talk about anything now, but maybe you want to talk about something in the future because I believe I have a lot of good information or advice that I could offer to you guys. So anything that you want to learn about and discuss, feel free to reach out to us. I would say that's everything for today that I want to cover. And I had several questions private messaging me, so I have answered most of them. One quick question that I don't really know the answer about, so maybe Dan or our co-host knows.
Yeah,
the student was
go ahead,
asking
shoot the question.
Yeah, she's basically asking, the school has a cooperation project with Tsinghua University. Do you guys know what that is? I'm guessing it's probably like a study abroad or exchange program.
No, I think what they're talking about is the GIX program.
Okay.
Let me pull it out and send it to you. It's a Global Innovation Exchange. Yeah, let me send it to the link. I personally don't know much about it, but this website has everything. So let me send it to the teams or the chats. So let me pull up.
I think these exchange programs are generally pretty valuable, but you also need to think about.
This is actually not an exchange program. This is actually a graduate. It's actually a graduate program. It's 2 year. Allows you to do 1 year in Tsinghua and 1 year at UW. At the end, you get a dual master's degree. Yeah.
Okay. So if you if you're actually targeting that program, you can definitely take a look at these details. Learn about this program. Okay, so I know I'm over time. I talk too much, and sorry about that. So I am an international student just here for 3 quarters. Can I have an OPT? So Dan, do you want to answer that? I think it's OPT related question.
Yeah, Aloya, you are an exchange student?
Hello, yes, I'm an exchange student.
Okay, great. If you're an exchange student, you do have work eligibility here, but it's not called OPT. It's called something different. It's called actually training. Let me actually pull this out. Okay, so what you need to do, how about this? I'm gonna help you to just search UW ISS and then say exchange, just put in J1, okay? J1 work eligibility. Use these
I have
keywords.
a F1 visa.
You have an F1 visa?
Yeah.
So you're not on J1?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so for that case, I do not want to answer your questions wrongly. I would like to send you to UW. If you search UW ISS and then look for events, that will take you to the dropping advisor. You need to ask an asset advisor because usually if you are on exchange but as on F1 visa, then you wanted to, it falls into one of those specific programs that I know what you're talking about, but I don't want to give you the wrong answer. Can you double check with an asset advisor specifically?
Thank you.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah,
Okay,
I think our responsibility to tell you what we know, but not to give you a wrong answer. Yes, go ahead.
definitely. Okay, so yeah, I'll just to conclude this. So thank you everybody for attending this event at this dinner time. Feel free to reach out to me. We can talk. We can discuss anything you like to. And thank you, Dan. And thank you, Circle, for inviting me over. And hopefully see you guys soon in the future.
Thank you, Kara, for you can see the expertise, you have probably helped a lot of students in these areas. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and share all the very valuable information with our students. Again, we're going to stop the recording, put the recordings in our